welcome to the TAF Hub, another exciting episode here. I am Mariama Kuli, and we are so excited to be back on this very important platform brought to you by TAF Africa Global, where we are all learning about, estate and development and what important informations we need to safeguard ourselves in purchasing a land or getting into real estate development. I am here, of course, with the man himself, Mr. Mustafa Njai. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Mariama. Thank you. And yes, we are here to talk about real estate development and bringing all the players so that people will understand that it's not only those who are in the field like ourselves, but there are some other parties, that play very important roles in this industry. And that is why it's diverse, and we want to bring in every player so that they will educate us. They will shed light on a lot of issues that needs to be discussed here. Yes. So today we are honored and privileged to have within our midst nobody other than the Honorable Dr. Saikou Jabbie, who is the first Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of the Gambia. Right. So, Dr. Jabbie, you're welcome.
Welcome.
Right. Thank you, TAF, Mustafa Njai, and Koli Mariama, and the entire the company staff of TAF Holdings. Really, I'm glad to be here and to talk about this very important real estate sector. It's so important to the Gambia and even many of our developing world. So to have such a forum, I know we all see many of the real estate sector along the streets also operating everywhere, but we don't know much information about it. So I'm so much glad to have such a forum and explain the bits of everything about real estate sector to the masses.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience?
Right, I'm Dr. Saikou Jabbie. I'm coming from, born in Nyanikayai by Kuntauru. I did my high school St. Augustine's, my first degree in the University of Sierra Leone, Forby College in 1993-94, and in Manchester, doing my master's there in Manchester 2003-2004. I worked with the Central Bank since 1997, over 20 years now, and I rose through the ranks to the level of the first deputy governor. And 2011-2014, I did my PhD in development financing at the University of Malaya, Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. That's a brief about me.
That's great, Doctor. Now let's start. How does your institution involve in the real estate sector, the Central Bank, as a regulator?
Well, at the regulatory arm of it, I think there's some initiative at the level of government that Central Bank is a member of the task force to look at ways and means of how to guide the industry, how to guide the real estate sector, because we believe every time they can have to go into the industry. We don't have much data on it, that kind of thing. And to be able to regulate that much, you have to bring them on board to be able to do that. At Central Bank level, we do also house our staff to purchases of some plots from real estate industry. Agencies also across the country. We are able to do that across our staff, from cleaners and junior staff to level of senior management. We do that. But currently at the level of regulatory level, there is some initiative being made, and we are very much interested to have that data in and be able to advise policy to go forward. That's so important for us. We are working with key stakeholders at Ministry of Lands, I think Competitive Commission, Ministry of Finance, and other line ministries, plus Central Bank. We are part of that task force that we are pushing to come up with a guide, a regulatory form, sort of, a surveillance sort of, maybe not regulation as we regulate banks, as we regulate other financial institutions, but some form of surveillance to be able to bring them on board, bring them mainstream, to sort of mainstream them. That's key, that's important,
Yeah, but then how do you see the importance and development of the real estate sector in the Gambia?
It is massive, particularly after the new dispensation. A lot of construction. At some point, cement is even out of stock, really, out of stock. And people are building very nice houses. It's adding value to our infrastructure, it's adding value to our facelift of this country, really. So it's so important. But as I said, regulation is a guide. Regulation supports, it enables all those developmental issues, really. So it doesn't mean come regulation, no, you cannot build this here, no, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. But this is just to take into account people that are ready for the industry, people that have the wherewithal to go into the industry are there in the industry. Not just any time they can go in. Every other day you have problems in the newspapers. I bought land, I paid my last payment, I don't have my documents, I don't have this. Some people don't even have capital. They go and secure a plot, try to sell it. Before they could sell it, in fact, give money to the landlord. The landlord would sell it to somebody who is coming up with the ready cash. So these are all issues that we are fighting, particularly in our brothers and sisters in the diaspora. So these are issues that it needs to be further regulated. And last time I was following up a program that was saying membership regulation, member regulation. I don't think this will be effective. We need the government's role in this place to be able to guide the sector properly. The importance that we cannot be overemphasized. It addresses housing poverty. We need to know in a year how much housing units are being built. This is adding to quality of life. This is adding to you can even prolong your life because you're in a very well ventilated housing. Sanitary conditions are perfect, that kind of thing. Suddenly you live longer, really. So there comes the role of government that we need to come in and try to sanitize this industry for the benefit of everybody in this country.
Okay, great. Yeah. But now, Doctor, I want us to focus more on the financial side.
Yeah.
Because that's really your area.
Yes, yes.
Obviously, we are aware that you are the regulator as far as financial institutions are concerned.
Yes, yes, yes.
So what instruments or framework do you have in place in regulating the operations and transactions in this sector? Let me give you an example.
Right.
We do hear quite often, real estate developers or agents advertising that we can offer a mortgage. Either a payment plan or we can give you a mortgage for 5 years, 10 years. So as a regulator, because I assume that mortgages should be given by banks or approved financial institutions. So what framework or instruments do you have in place in trying to regulate this?
No, as I said, at the level of government, they are working on this. Where the regulation would be housed is still determined. But as I normally said, you can be in any kind of operation. Just like the credit unions, they were saying they are the cooperatives. They are registered under the Cooperatives Act. They can register cooperatives. And they do other activities, but they also do some financing aspect of it, credit, lending, and deposits and all that. And there we are going to another territory of another regulatory body, that is Central Bank. So whether you like it or not, you are stepping into our mandate area. You must be regulated by us, really. And at the Central Bank, too, under the Non-Bank Financial Institutions Act, we also regulate housing institutions. I don't know whether they are putting real estate sector into that or not, but we are regulating the home finance, a subsidiary of Trust Bank. That's barely credit, but we wanted to see that volume of credit, how it is managed, what are the repayment levels, is it bringing some sustainability as far as the institutional survival is concerned. These are all areas, really. So, but I think, negotiations are going on. I don't want to conclude here as whether it's going to be at Central Bank or not. But certainly, Central Bank has the capacity, has the wherewithal, have the instruments in place to regulate real sector for the better. As I said, it's not to bring down the industry. Regulation is supportive. Regulation is an enabler. We are ready to go into this area. Like we did for, as I said, we did for also the bureaus. Bureaus at the time, you have transfers, you may not get your money. So when you want to sanitize it, we came up with a registration requirement. Each bureau must deposit, mandatory deposit at the Central Bank. It's say $1 million. Say. If people have transfers with you, you are not able to pay it, you take it from that money. No qualms, no trouble, really. So that has been able to sanitize the industry. And today we have a software that all the bureaus, 135 bureaus are on board. 1 minute ago, I can know the level of remittances in this country. 1 minute ago, with the software. I can know the total inflows, the outflows in this country. By a click of the button, even linked to my mobile phone, I can get access. So if real estate sector is also done like that, have a mandatory deposit somewhere, that people are paying overseas, the diaspora, paying their monthly contributions, 5 months, 6 months, they pay all the installments, and they couldn't get their plot. There's so a lot of dirty games here and there. They need to report to the regulator, and they are refunded from the mandatory deposit from the real estate sector. Because I've seen some people, basically with no capital, just finish school, have a plot somewhere, they go to institutions that are providing housing schemes for their staff, try to sell it there, here and there, and that's why they pick up. And normally, a lot of other troubles here and there. Every day, you go to a police station. Every day, you're answering a court summon. Every day is another thing. I think we need to grow out of that. Real estate sector is so much in this country. We need to guide it. It's sort of like a comparative advantage for us. We need to guide it so that it's sustainable. It continues to have that quality impact on our lives. Really, that's key.
Now, we know that data is very important and then knowing its significance. How do you keep records, especially with data gathering?
Yeah, we have our data collected from the institutions that we regulate. The banks would send us every quarter report on their financing across sectors, on agriculture, on building and construction, on distributive trade, on name it, personal loans and all that. We have that kind of thing with the banking sector. But it's not all capturing the entire financing aspect of real estate sector. There are some that may pay cash to the office. There are some that may pay whatever also. So we need to know what involves, how many housing units are being built, how much financing is needed, all that kind of thing. If you have that database, policy is based on data you have. You cannot sit down and say, this is my policy. You have the data and you deduce data from the policy from the data you receive. This is key to be able to arrive at a very good conclusion. You need to have that data to give you that foresight. And you can also be able to project based on the data you have. But without data, absolutely, you can't do anything about it. Yes.
That's great. Now, Doctor, additionally, players in the real estate sector have proliferated over the past few years. Just as what you said.
Indeed.
Now, what changed? I want you to respond here. What do you think? What do you think? Your opinion? What do you think that the change to cause this proliferation? And what do you think can be done to integrate or mainstream this sector to ensure what is being done is right? It's an opinion that we want here.
Indeed. That's a very good question. As I said, I get back to the bureaus the experience we had with them. Initially, the bureaus were operating just like anyhow. They send daily fax messages to the central bank. We put it together, that kind of thing. And sometimes some would not even come. Sometimes even if you fax, the ink is poor, it's not coming out fine. Basically, you don't have any record of it. You go to Westfield, go to many other major junctions. You have people with calculators, that kind of thing. They're changing money, changing dollar and all that. We couldn't have that much information about them. So we mainstreamed it. We said, now, anybody go into this sector, you must be registered, licensed by the Central Bank. And we have our requirements. You must come up with your memo and articles. These are the shareholders, these are that. So we identify when there are problems, these are the people we should follow. Is it? I believe the real sector should also go along the same line. You have the registration process is there. You have a memo and articles, how many so persons handling what percentage of the company, and what's your capital requirement. You have a mandatory deposit. If you fail in your responsibilities, you are deducted from the mandatory deposit and the people affected are funded. So it needs to be that mainstream so that we have the real effect of it and be able to capture the data to be able to know what is its contribution to our GDP. Nigeria did it in their earliest Nollywood. When they incorporate this into their GDP, they become the largest economy in Africa. Really. So we need to capture, we can know every other corner today, there are constructions going on. If you are able to capture this, having that impact on the quality of life of people, you live in a very comfortable area, highly ventilated, compared to like the slums of Nairobi, Kibera, and other places, that kind of thing, really. So if you have this kind of units, it's going to add value, add quality of our lives, really. So you need to capture that data, knowing how much are we going, maybe survey conducted, to know how much the level of proliferation of the real estate sector is addressing housing poverty in the country. And maybe this could also be cross-country, not only urban-based, greater urban area, cross-country. I normally travel across the country. I will see social security tablets everywhere, social security property, service property. I think all those things were being envisaged to have some kind of plans in those areas, really, so that we can reduce the urban-rural drift and all that, the kind of rural-urban drift and all that, and be able to spread this kind of thing across the country. And also follow up your trip in Sierra Leone that you are discussing about all these kind of schemes there. Yeah, but certainly we need to support this sector. Regulation, as I said, is supportive. We need to support it, come up with guidelines, come up with registration requirements that the right people, the people with the wherewithal, the people with the interest to go in there, not like that's profitability in this industry, you go in there and dirty hold the waters, that kind of thing, and move out, really, really. Because like at the Westfield, people with the calculators, you want to stop money transfer now or change of money now, they put calculator somewhere and move into another business. Not to lose, not to lose. But what of people who rented high streets, who are employing hundreds, thousands of people, who are dealing massive, their daily living, their daily lives are into this sector. They spoil it for all those kind of people. When those people lose that business, where do they go now? With the kind of heavy investment they have, really. So we need to have that so that even bank licensing, it's not everybody that can come into bank licensing. You have to have a level of capital. The people you are introducing as senior managers, shareholders, directors would have to subject to fit and proper. That these are the real people. These are the people with integrity, with that honesty, with that capability, qualifications, academic-wise, professional-wise, to able to run this kind of institution. We have all that at the Central Bank. We can subject them to all that, really. So I think this is key. Is good for us. So we need to protect it jealously and promote it.
But I think this is the same issue with the real estate sector. I think there is no proper censor. Because you see some people will start up a real estate business when they're not even financially sufficient to run that business. And they end up getting stranded if they have to refund their customers. So I hope in the future there will be regulations put in place in that sector.
If they are lucky if they are able to refund them. Some may even get refunded. And the other, I can tell you a real story. That was the financial institution, not naming the financial institution, that the core mandate, scope of the business of that financial institution is not into real estate sector. They went and buy, I think, 300, 400 meters by whatever meters, and said they want to sell it to their members. Not even conducting a survey whether their members like even housing or like the location that is being bought, that kind of thing. And they don't have the capital. They went to a bank to take some $20, $25, $30 million to purchase that land. After they thought they have a good news, they come and inform their members, hey, good news, we have a place for you. Where? Maybe Kachime or Kato or Nyofele. No, that's not the area we went. Really, really. So it became a problem, really. Now to resell that property again, you cannot have that 25, 30 million that is sold it for, that you bought it for, really. And there are problems. And at the end of the day, deposit funds were used to refund that money. And it took years, the loan and the interest and all what associated charges to pay, really. At the end of the day, it was a negative impact, negative on the financial institution, really. So we had to get them to play by the book, the kind of rules of the book, that you work according to the scope of your operations, nothing outside that, because you don't have the capacity, you don't have the capabilities to go into the real estate sector, and that's no entry point for you. So that's the end of story that we advise them to do, really.
But may I also ask further to that question on what you just said, using that example?
Yes.
Do we take it that financial institutions like banks cannot be involved in the real estate directly by selling plots or houses?
No, well, I think I'm a bit brief about the kind of arrangement you have with some of these banks, really. They can be part of, as you initially said, the mortgaging part of it also. Is that guaranteed when you put in a financial institution in between, really? Or even your employer in between. So that will be very effective. They can deduct the person monthly, be able to pay on time. But if you want the real estate sector and the real estate company and the staff and the customer, salary is not going through you. How can you deduct, really? It's just you are trusting the guy to come up. At the end of the day, month, he has his salary to come forward and make the monthly payment. But this is going to be much protected when you put in an employer or a financial institution in between. Where my salary goes, we agreed tripartite agreement, at the end of the month, so amount supposed to deduct from my salary and send to the real estate sector. That's so much convenient, really. So much convenient. But like banks can collaborate with it. It may not be your main function, main area of operation, but you can link up. There is so much partnerships now, that kind of thing. No one person can do all alone. You can always partner with some institutions, either real estate sector or other financial institutions. Or if the amount is that bigger, 3-4 banks can come in to syndicate and be able to take care of those kind of arrangements, really. There's profitability in it, and there's a very secure arrangement. My salary is going in there. The bank is not losing. The real estate sector is not losing. You deduct it and pay conveniently. At the end of the day, payments are all done No trouble, no quarrels, no demand letter from lawyers, here and there, everything, really.
Okay.
That's
Now,
key.
it is quite obvious that the real estate business provides some gains for the government.
Yeah.
What is the GDP contribution of this sector?
That's what I'm saying. You have to get the data for it to be able to know its level of contribution. And with that, you know, certainly it's going to be significant. And with that, you promote it better, you regulate it better, so that its share of the GDP can be improved, really. But currently, with the data to work on and be able to support the industry, you have to bring the industry
On board.
incorporated first, on board first, be able to know how many are operating in the industry. Even staffing, job creation, you need to capture all that so that we know how much jobs are being created on a periodic basis, really. Most of financing, most of how many housing units are coming up each year. That can be added. I mean, Minister of Finance can even capture it in their budget speech. To know the quality of life people are now having as far as the house is concerned. That's all about Central Africa, the kind of thing, really. Affordable housing. In South Africa, after the black majority rule, there's so much promotion about affordable housing for a majority of people who are living in slums, really. So this has captured so much of South African people, particularly the black majority, and they be able to improve their lives, really. So data has to be there first before you go to the next stage. And data is important to advise policy. And that, if you have that policy, then that's how you can promote the industry.
Okay, so I gather maybe we're not capturing enough data in this sector.
No. That's what I'm saying. Like in Nigeria, when they started capturing Nollywood or the Nigerian movie film industry, it became the largest economy in Africa. Yeah, but at the time they didn't have it. It's like formalizing the informal sector. Okay. Is it informal sector, that kind of thing. At the time, we don't have data for it, but now we are having data for it, and we are capturing in our GDP. Even IMF, World Bank, when they visit Gambia, at the time they were not looking at microfinance. But at the time they started looking at them, very much portfolios are coming in. And the number of people that are also captured in terms of access to credit, access to savings is growing significantly. They started having interest in it. They say we must capture this. Credit unions, they say we must capture this. Well over $1 billion in deposits. And credit well over $900 million in deposits. And these are going through people who may not have the wherewithal to access banks. Is it? Microfinance institutions the same. They are also capturing the other type of clientele that are down, the majority, forming the majority of our population, that do not have access to bank products, really, because of the level of sophistication at the level of the banks, really. So these are key to capture them and formalize them, and we add it into our GDP. That can get us somewhere, really.
Okay, that's great. Apparently, Doctor, cost of housing, it's high and it's increasing by the day. It's really high, and some of us really get accused of our houses not being affordable. I try not to be too defensive, but try to explain why the cost of housing is high. Mainly dependent on the importation of materials.
Right.
And this is hugely dependent on the cost of material.
Sure.
Not only material, but also labor. And the cost of labor is growing higher by the day. Now, I want this answered in two folds. You are here because we want to hear your opinion for who you are. And now, what do you think? How do we address the housing poverty, especially for the lower segment of society? You can come in your response, both in your personal capacity and also if you have anything, from your institution that can be done to address this. What is your opinion on this?
I think first there comes the role of government.
Yes.
The role of government. If real estate sector are to sell, to buy the plots that are to be apportioned and sold, costing them very high, and they are in business, suddenly this will be sold at a profit, at a margin, really. You see. And the other housing materials and labor and all that, the kind of thing, are not calculated, and it's not coming in at the first instance, really. So government could prioritize this if they are to address housing poverty, and certainly poverty alleviation, poverty reduction is key objective for every government. I see. So this needs to be practicalized, that some area has been allocated for affordable housing, and this could go for relatively cheaper costs. Targeting the level of staff, the kind of thing, I think this could be realized. I remember the Social Security Canopy estates at the time, Bakote estates at the time, was targeting that kind of staff in the civil service. And many of them are able to go through it, and today they finish their payments. And some even extended the building. And where you have your plot, you build your own taste, you're able to build whatever you want in there, really. So I think it's important that most of these things are addressed. But for the labor and the material costs, this may be out of control of the market, because if you are getting some of these things from, say, Turkey, we understand some of the materials are cheaper in Turkey. But if you are getting from Dubai or other places and come up with the foreign exchange aspect of it, and your profit margin, whatever tax you are paying at the GRA, this could be escalating. And labor cost too, this has no price. These people just think about any kind of price to charge. I'm building, I know exactly what it's costing me, really. So, but I think all that could be addressed if it is mainstream, if it is under regulation, and you can engage all these parties. As I say, it's all partnership, collaboration. You can engage all these parties to see how best we can make out of this real sector. Looking at its importance to house our people, our citizens, to give quality of life to our people. Even healthcare, you can reduce all that bill on the healthcare, because we are now living in a very comfortable place. Frequent malaria, common colds and all that, we may be prevented, because now you are living in a very comfortable environment. It is possible, really. It's possible.
Now, the Asian financial crisis that took place in 1997 destabilized the Asian economy. Can you kindly take us through this?
Indeed. In fact, I wrote a paper on this.
Yes.
Southeast Asian crisis in 1996-97 was because of several reasons, but the real estate sector stood out paramount. Because this is what I was saying, the example I gave about that entity. These people go to the banks, borrow a significant amount of money, build 27, 35-story building. There, you don't buy the entire building. You go and buy flats, maybe 2, 3 flats, the kind of thing, or whatever, self-contained, how many, the kind of thing. And any other person also come. You expectation that people have demand, they come and acquire these properties, these flats, they pay you, and you return the banks their money. You build up a lot of these skyscrapers at the end of condominium. At the end of the day, there's no demand. Just like the case of that plot being bought, and your members do not want that plot. There's no demand. And you cannot turn that building into liquid cash to pay the bank. And we all know in the banking sector, the provisioning, the write-offs and all that. After 3 months, you don't pay, you start provisioning. 1 year, you don't pay, you write it off. The whole amount. That's going to bring down your bottom line. And as banks' bottom line goes down, affects your capital is eroded, the banks go down with you. Really, the banks go down with you. So these are all part of that. It's supposed to be that comprehensive research before you do all this. Before I go to the bank to borrow money, what do I need that money for? You have your small money that you can grow with. You add any additional to be complementing your own funds, so that there's 50-50 contribution. But no bank, in fact, would finance 100% of your project. You have to have your own equity that you can add bank loan to it and go there to finance, really. So for people to go to the bank in real estate sector to do all this kind of thing, first you have to assess the demand. The location I'm going in, what's the demand? Maybe go to some institutions that are providing housing to their staff to assess their demand on that. The moment you have it, it's ready in the market, and people are coming for it within weeks to acquire it, and you are out of the financial stress. But you do that without all that. I think many people, in fact, don't have the right financial advice to go into this. Some people have adequate funds to go into their business, but they still want to go and borrow funds to add it to it. You have your liquidity, you are not under liquidity trouble. You go to the banks to add more money, you are just wasting it, and the financing aspect of it, obligation will be going to be very high, and at the end of the day, you don't achieve your project. This could be counterproductive, really. So Southeast Asian crisis is there for everybody. You need to do research before you take a loan. You take your loan, acquire this building, acquire this plot, build it to required standards, have demand for it, get your money, pay the bank, no trouble. There's gains from both ends, really. There's gains from both ends. But if you want to just go ahead without any survey, without any research into it, this could affect you as an entity, and also the bank that you are borrowing money from. These are very critical issues. Some other aspect of the Asian crisis had been the compromise on lending standards. They were giving loans to people at will, business cronies, friends, families, the kind of thing. And these were excessive, and the loans defaulted, provisional write-offs, and the banks could not also stand it. They had to go down with it. But as I said, paramount to it was the real estate sector.
Thank you so much. That was a very, very interesting conversation there. Until we come your way next week on the TAF Hub, do remember to go subscribe on our YouTube channel and follow the links below on where you can watch this show. Thank you.
TAF Africa Global presents the first eco-smart city in the Gambia, the TAF City. Located between Gunjur and Sifo, it is 30 minutes away from the Banjul International Airport. At TAF City, you will be able to live, work, play, and shop in a healthy multi-purpose community. This vibrant urban environment will meet your everyday needs with commercial, business, recreational, and other complementary services to increase the value of your home. With up to 5,000 units of affordable homes on a 500-hectare land, TAF City will be twice the size of Banjul. Prime location, stunning properties, and amazing discount of 20% for the first 50 buyers. Make an appointment today to secure your property. For more information, please call +220-776233 or +220-376-2333, or you can send an email to info@tafafricaglobal.com. Better still, visit our office at Madiba Mall, Brufut Gardens Estate. TAF City, a green and smart city accessible to all.